Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of So Tell Us Time. As you can see, if you are on YouTube or on our social media, we are back in studio and I love being in studio. Troy was out of the country. He was actually in Guatemala and had an awesome time, had some adventures, almost got murdered by a deadly snake, world's deadliest snake or something along those lines. At least Guatemala's deadliest snake, that's for sure. And if you watched our last podcast, obviously I wasn't in the studio either. I was doing it remotely, but wanted to still get you guys an episode out. So thank you for bearing with us with the audio quality and the video quality. I sure do love being in studio. Troy and I love being in studio. It's so much better.
Yes.
So we're glad that you made it back, Troy, from Guatemala, alive.
Yes.
And so we've got a great episode for you guys today. We're actually going to be talking about emergencies, but you know what? It's not what you think that we're talking about. Not the type of emergency that you think that we're about to talk about today. When you hear the word emergency, we're actually going to be talking about a different type of emergency. But first, let's get a word from our show sponsor. So tell us. Coming in hot from Arizona, this is Trevor
and Troy Howard.
And you're on So Tell Us Time. You can have everything you want in your business. Sometimes you just need a little help.
Every business owner would love to charge more for their services, but sometimes you can sacrifice long-term loyalty for a short-term profit.
Creating the right rituals is key to your business having success.
Are you tired of competing with your competitors? Guess what? You don't have to compete if you create.
All right, everybody. Well, we're talking about emergencies, and it is called self-inflicted emergencies. Yes, then there you go. There's the twist. It's not that, hey, everything is a dumpster fire, although it feels like that at times. And we will talk about that a little bit in here about things feeling like a dumpster fire. But this is self-inflicted dumpster fires. This is self-inflicted emergencies. See, your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency in everyone else's lives. And that is a lot of times what we see entrepreneurs, business owners do. And so I don't want to give it all away. I'm going to let Troy jump in here and take it away because this is not a long episode today. This is a quick episode. You guys are going to get a lot of good value out of this. We want to get your minds thinking and get you to start planning and preparing. So that is the key for today. Go ahead, Troy, take it over.
Yeah. So first we're going to talk about the problem, understanding the problem. So what does it mean when we say that basically your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency for everyone else? Or basically your emergency is not everyone else's emergency. What we're talking about is, excuse me, because you as a business owner may procrastinate something, or maybe one of your clients procrastinates something, that does not mean that it's going to create an emergency for everyone else. They're going to jump up, they're going to run and grab their fire hoses, and they're going to put out all the fires for you because either you or your client didn't plan accordingly. So we'll give you an example of that. We have this happen all the time, as a marketing company. People will come to us with deadlines. They'll be like, oh my gosh, I need to get a new website up and running by this date, or I need to get my marketing up and running because, I need more jobs. So they create this deadline of when things need to be done, but then they procrastinate actually moving forward on it. Yeah. So, we may go ahead, do all the work, put together the plan. Okay, here's exactly what needs to get done. And then we send them the invoice. All right, look, all we need to do is have you pay this invoice and we can get all of this work started. And then they procrastinate and they don't pay the invoice. And then they don't pay the invoice. And then we follow up with them, and then they come back to us, a little bit later. And all of a sudden it's an emergency. And look, I need you guys to jump on this and get this done right now because, I don't have any more jobs after 45 days. I have 0 jobs after 45 days. So you guys need to drop everything in your business, and step up and get this done for me, right? So that's a situation where the business owner has created, through their procrastination, an emergency in their eyes, for them, that like this has to be done, you know. And as a business owner, we have to make a decision. Are we going to step up and fight that fire and accept that fire, or is that emergency not our emergency, right?
And that's the problem, right? That's the problem with this scenario. That's the problem with this mentality. That's the problem with people doing this, procrastinating, making the fire of the day. And I'll say, here's the thing is, as business owners, we're business owners. We know this. We've been building businesses for 25 years now. And so we completely understand. Sometimes there is a dumpster fire every single day. My wife's like, hey, how was work today? And I'm like, same as yesterday, like just new issue, right? And so we get it. It's not even necessarily, we call it procrastination, but to a degree it is, but it's also like lack of attention, right? A firefighter is spraying the water on the fire, the current fire, but a good firefighter and a good firefighting team, they know they're dousing the buildings around the fire. They're wetting everything down. They're preparing. And that's what a lot of times what we as business owners miss is that we're spraying the existing fire of that day, taking care of it, which needs to be done, but it pushes everything else to the back burner. And we have a potential client literally right now that has come in and they have met with us twice. They have met me, they've met our sales director, and we went through a whole game plan with them. They're like, hey, by August 15th, I don't have any more jobs. I've got to get this going. I need a bunch of stuff. And we're like, great. And here's the time frame. So we did all the research. We got them the game plan. They loved the game plan. We gave them time frames, and then they ghosted us. They ghosted the sales director. He's like, hey, I can't get a hold of him and everything like that. And I said, kind of sometimes the name of the game. They're probably putting out the dumpster fire that's right in front of them. And sure enough, a few days later, he comes back and he's like, hey, I really want to get this going and everything. And so they're like, great, pay the invoice. Let's get started. And then, 4th of July hits and it's holiday. And, so then more time goes by. Comes in today. Or calls up today, says, hey, I want to talk to the web designer, and it's like now he's wanting to talk to another person in the department. He hasn't paid a bill yet. We haven't charged him for consulting or creating the plan or anything like that. So we've given a lot of our time, energy and efforts and resources so far, but yet no money has been exchanged. And it's like, now I want to do this. Now I want to talk to this person. Now I want to do this. And I just had to say, no, absolutely not. Like, yes. And he's like, but I got a deadline coming up. And we're like, right. Which is why you need to pull the trigger. You are procrastinating. You are pushing this out longer. And your emergency, I told him, I said, your emergency will not become our emergency. We have given you timeframes and we are going to stick to those timeframes. Meaning if it's a 30-day build, then, and you come in 2 days before you're out of jobs, it's 30 days from then still. And so don't do that. Let's move forward. And he's like, oh, okay. So we experience this all the time as well. And that's why we're talking about it today. We don't want you guys to be these people. Don't be the emergency, hair's on fire. And now we're going to take that fire and throw it on everybody else's heads.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like I said, it can be something that's maybe it's you as a business owner that you're, causing it. And again, some of the biggest causes for this, Trevor hit it really well, was either procrastination on our part as business owners, or it's lack of attention, right? We're focusing on something else. We're not paying attention to the things that are going to become the next fire, dumpster fire. And so we let it, build up and burn and become a huge fire. Then we address it. So we really need to focus as business owners on looking at that, and making sure that we're not procrastinating and that we're paying attention to what's important. Now, what are the potential problems with this? Well, they're pretty obvious. First and foremost, projects don't get completed on time, right? If we don't take a look at something, like if we don't address things right away, our projects aren't going to get done on time. We're not, our marketing's not going to work, whatever it might be that we're focusing on, it's not going to happen because we don't have enough time to actually do it and do it well. The other thing is, as a business owner, is if we're constantly hitting our employees with, emergencies, dumpster fires, they're going to get burned out from fighting fires all the time. and they're going to look for a job elsewhere. So, if we as business owners aren't planning ahead and, addressing things before they become an emergency, then we're going to lose great employees because they don't want to come to work every day and have to put out another fire.
So true.
The other thing is, it can be cause business relationships to end because of the strain that it puts on those relationships, right? If you're always having to go to your business partners or other companies that you work with and be like, hey, I need you to do this right away. Hey, I need to, hey, I've got this situation, right? Let's say it's your marketing team, and you go to them and be like, hey guys, we have no jobs. Like, we literally have no work tomorrow. I need you to get me jobs tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're going to go, you know what? This isn't worth it anymore. It's not worth having to deal with that kind of stress. And you might lose crucial business relationships because of the strain that you're putting on them. And the other thing too is a lot of businesses fail because there is no time to turn things around. And I remember Trevor and I had a situation once where a client came to us and they literally said this, it was one of the saddest things I ever heard. They literally said to me, they're like, hey, look, I've only got $500 left on my credit card limit. I have no jobs. I have no marketing. I have nothing going for me right now. I'm going to give you my last $500 so that you can create jobs for me. And it was so tough because, we knew there was no way that we could create jobs for $500, right? There's no way that $500, we could create jobs fast enough for this person with $500 to be able to turn their entire business around, right? But what did they do? They waited. They procrastinated. They knew that their business was going down for a very, very long time, but they waited until the last second to reach out and be like, I need help and I need you to do it right now, right? And so what we did with them, and literally, I forgot to say, what the person said to me was, I can either take that $500 and pay my rent so that I don't get kicked out of my apartment, or I can give it to you for marketing. And Trevor and I turned to him and said, pay your rent.
Yeah.
And what we did do is we gave them some free ways. We taught them some things to help them try to get some jobs quickly at no cost, right?
Yep.
But the point of the story is they waited way too long. Had they come to us, before that, when things were starting to look bad, had they prepared, then they could have turned it around and turned it around correctly. So you don't want to be that person that, maybe it's our pride that we're just like, you know what? I don't want to let people know how bad I'm doing.
Yeah.
Until I have no other option. And usually when we have no other option, that really means we have no option at all. So we don't want that to happen to you as business owners. And, again, we don't want you losing great employees. We don't want you feeling this pressure and the stress and the strain of always having to put out those fires. So anything you want to add, Trevor, before we get to the homework?
That's one thing that kind of sparks in my mind is work with people you trust. You should work with people you trust. If you don't trust the people that you're working with, and I'm talking when it comes especially to marketing, then find somebody else. Go find somebody that you do trust, because that's the thing is, one of the greatest strengths I think we've had over all these years in business is we know when to say no. And we know when to tell people this is not the right fit. And you'd be surprised when we tell people no, they fight harder to want to work with us. And I'm going, no, this is not right. Like, I'm a big PPC guy. I love PPC. If you've got the budget for PPC, and you've got the right business for PPC, it can work really well for you. It can bring in jobs very quickly, and people are very attracted to that quick buck, right? That quick return and turnaround. And so, but also PPC is one of the things that doesn't work for everybody. And so we have to tell people all the time, no. Like with this guy, we had to say, no, we are not going to take your last $500. We could have been shysters and took in $500, but I mean, I feel like my soul's worth more than that. So not going to do that. But we know when to say no. And we hope that and try to make it that our clients really do trust us, so that when we tell them this is not right for you, they believe us, they trust us, and we then come up with the right strategy. So that's just something that sparked, and I wanted to throw in. That's not necessarily anything to do with emergencies, but I think it is a good little tidbit for our listeners to be thinking about, is who are they working with, who are they doing business with, and do they trust them? So anyways, all right, guys, let's get on to the homework for today. We don't want this to be too long. So take a look at what recurring emergencies you have in your business. And then how can you prepare for them? And how can you even prevent them from continuing to become emergencies as you move forward? So it's like, are you having recurring emergencies? Are you having problems with the same staff? Are you having problems with the same vendors? Are you having problems? Maybe it's the procrastination on your side, right? Lack of taking action. So maybe that's the problem that keeps coming up and it creates the emergency. Don't do that. Do better. You can do better. You guys are entrepreneurs. You guys and gals out there are amazing. You've worked hard to build your businesses. You're working hard to even get your businesses going, because some of you are just getting your businesses going. So you're smarter than that. Don't procrastinate. Don't put it on everybody else. Just take action in the things that need your attention, right? Not just the dumpster fires, right? A lot of times we take care of those dumpster fires and then we're like exhausted. And when it's the end of the day and, I'll get to that tomorrow. I took care of this fire today and everything's good, so I'm going to get to that tomorrow. No, you walk in the next day and guess what? Employees have emergencies that come up. Clients have emergencies that come up. Your business has emergencies that come up. Your family has emergencies. There's just always going to be something that gets in the way. So you just have to learn to prioritize your time. And one way, just real quick too, one way that Troy and I have really done well with that is our calendars. Yeah. We calendar out our entire days and we stick to it unless we have to shift focus. But when we shift focus, we then reschedule whatever got interrupted. So that's a really good tip for you guys. Well, we love you guys. We appreciate you guys. We have another show that we're going to be starting here called What's New Wednesdays. We're going to be doing those live. Those are going to be live, and we're going to be sending those out not just to our listeners, but to all of our clients as well. So we've got another show getting started. So watch for that. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. It's going to be different than just this podcast and how this podcast works. And so we'll kind of unveil that as it comes to fruition. But we appreciate you guys. We love you. And as always, thank you for the shares, the likes, the comments. And we will check you guys on the next episode of So Tell Us Time.